Here we have the Schismatoglottis, but don't let the fancy name fool you. It's actually a super easy houseplant to take care of. Let's get into it. The first thing we want to consider is the light, of course. These babies need bright light. They can handle a good medium light, but they are already slow growers by nature. So if we put them in medium light, they will grow even more slowly. So if you want some consistent, more rapid growth, it's better to give these guys a nice wide view of the sky. I like to put them in a east, west, or south facing window. Generally speaking, in the northern hemisphere, north-facing windows do not provide bright light year-round, so that's why I like to put it in one of the other 3 windows that can provide bright light year-round. Now, if it's in a south or a west-facing window, a window that you know is super hot, it's going to be a good idea to back it off the glass a couple of feet, still maintaining a nice wide view of the sky. However, we don't want them to burn. So if we put them in too strong of light, too much heat, we can get some scorching on the leaves, and we definitely don't want to do that because these babies are beautiful. Now, these plants naturally grow aquatically, meaning they have water on them all the time. They actually live in little streams with constant moving water around them. So that should give you some kind of indication of how much water they like. You actually don't have to have them in water all the time, but they are a good candidate for hydroponics if that's something you choose to do. When we keep them in soil, I like to water when they're about 25% dry. Now, if we go too long in between watering, they will wilt quite heavily, okay? So keeping them well hydrated is super important. They should, however, adapt to regular household humidity. So unless you have a fan beating right down on it, or maybe a dehumidifier next to it, or maybe it's next to a wood-burning fireplace during the winter seasons, it might be a good idea to add humidity in those cases, or to put them in a different location where they're not getting beat on, or not having the air around them dry out so much. As far as repotting goes, I like to do that every 2 years, or when the roots are coming out of the bottom drainage holes. Whenever the roots are coming out of the bottom holes, you know that it's ready to be potted, okay? And for that, we like to go 1 to 2 inches larger than the current pot size. So if it's in a 6-inch pot, it's good to go up to a 7 or an 8-inch pot. I would actually recommend an 8-inch pot for these because they do like to retain so much moisture. It's fine to go that maximum 2 inches increase in diameter when repotting these guys. And I like to just use a regular houseplant soil. Again, they do like to retain quite a bit of moisture, so giving them that regular houseplant, very moisture retentive soil is going to be very beneficial, not only for the plant but for you, because otherwise you'd be watering very frequently. For fertilizing, we just do that during the growing season, which is the spring through the summer months, and we just use a liquid soluble or granule fertilizer that's well balanced. Something like a 10-10-10, 15-15-15, or 20-20-20, making sure you're diluting it as recommended on the packaging. Just like any plant, I want you to remember that the bottom leaves are always going to die off. The bottom leaves are the ones that are nearest the soil level. They've been there the longest, they've been photosynthesizing and working the longest, they're worn out, they're going to die off. So as long as you're having new growth out of the center, those bottom little leaves that are dying off is not a big deal, not something typically to be alarmed over, but we still always recommend just doing your little pest checks and making sure everything is squared away and healthy before throwing those leaves away, clipping them off, whatever you like to do. But that's going to do it for the care instructions for the Schismatoglottis. This one is super exciting and an up-and-coming plant in late 2022. So we hope to see these beautiful plants make their rounds and become more and more popular in this houseplant hobby.